Hi everyone, it's Heidi from flutterbyheidi.co.uk, and today I'm coming with a lovely sand and sea suite project, and I figured it was a little while since I've done a fancy fold, so I thought this is a lovely way to, it kind of is a fancy fold just because it's got a different cloak, but it's actually really easy. It's a gatefold just with some extra layers added on, and then I've used the lovely embossing folder in the sand and sea suite to create that textured background using the beautiful pearlescent paper that comes in the suite. Now, if you haven't seen my product showcase video, I'll just give you a very quick overview of what's in the suite. So we have lovely DSP 12 by 12 designs. We've got a beautiful 3D embossing folder with some pearlescent specialty paper, some gorgeous seaside shells, lovely to decorate, opal rounds, 2 of each sizes. Then we have the stamp set. Okay, so the stamp set, you can see, let me just move that card out of the way, it's ugly. The stamp set, you can see here, I've stamped out, and you've got sort of shadow images or ones that you can use to add colour into the shells if you want. You see that they sort of fit in, but you could easily use those as a shadow. This lovely nautilus shell you can see here, and these big shells with the die cut, you can see here, they go through the embossing folder. So not only do you can die cut this one big image, you can then stamp it, as I've done here, just to give you the stamped images, but then if you add it in through the embossing folder, you get this beautiful texture. So, you know, really sort of 3D. Then you can always add some of our frost white if you wanted to make your own pearlised card, and I've just sponged through the die afterwards on that to give pearlised shells without any stamping. So many possibilities. And then down here I've just used some of our punches to give you an idea of the sizes for the sentiments. And the sentiments are great because they're kind of friendship, love, you know, really useful ones. So let's get started. Okay, let's do some embossing and die cutting first. I think that's the important bit. So we're going to be embossing a piece of our specialty DSP. Now this is, I'm going to be using metric. I have worked it out in imperial, so I'll pop it on my blog. It'll just get a bit confusing, I think, otherwise. Slightly shorter than normal. It's a 14 centimetre high card, but this piece is 13.5 by 9.7. And what you're going to do is just pop that inside. It's double-sided pearlescent, so it doesn't matter which side you pop it in. So pop it into your folder, just so you get those images in the middle. And then you're going to need your cut and emboss machine. And I've just got, obviously, my base plate and my grey plate. And just pop that straight through. She says, here we go. So that's our embossed layer. I'm going to want that again in a moment. Okay, so you'll see there, look at the texture on that. So there's our embossed layer, which I've popped to one side. What you're also going to want is one of our the large die cuts. Okay, which I've already die cut, and before we put it through the embossing folder, we're going to do our stamping. So you want to grab your stamping pierce mat and choose the colours that you're going to use. Now I tend to stamp all of it just because I figure if I'm going to, you know, if I'm going to emboss it, I might as well have those extra images. So I'm just choosing the colour palettes that are in there. So we've got Blushing Bride, we've got some Flirty Flamingo, some Saffron, and some Seaside Spray. Actually, I'm going to do my Nautilus shell in the Seaside Spray. So again, there's room for sort of manoeuvre. And I would recommend you stand up and stand over your stamped image, but just hover it onto the stamping pierce mat. You see, lovely image. I'm going to pop this one in Seaside Spray as well. So I think this almost is a conch shell. I am going to find out what the various ones are. I kind of did my best guess by looking up images, good old Google. There we go. Let's pop this one in. Yes, I'm just going to do this larger one in Blushing Bride. I'm just turning it so it's a little bit closer to me. Again, just hover over that image, and then might be a bit off on that one. Oh no, not too bad. Hey, I'm doing better today. I had some fun when I was trying to do these the other day. I was just not. I was really off because I wasn't quite in touch with where they were. So this little teeny tiny one just comes in here. It's my camera moving on the tripod. Apologies. Yeah, that one I've gone off with. That's typical. Spoke too soon. And then, now obviously you could also die cut or colour the images if you wanted to. So I've just stamped those down. I pop my ink pads away. I haven't actually used the So Saffron on this occasion. So once you've got that, you want to come back in with that embossing folder and line it up. So pop it into your embossing folder, and I find the best way, hopefully putting it on the dark, you can see, might be able to see that, is I'm lining up the kind of fronds on all the sort of seaweedy bits. And once those are in, and then when you look through, you should see them just a little bit off on that. You should see that image lining up. Pop that in your sandwich and pop it through embossing folder. So now we have a beautifully die cut, embossed, stamped seashells ready for our card. Okay, so sentiment. I've used one of our punches here, but I've actually got a new one to use. I've got this fabulous new ovals punch, which has both a scalloped and a plain oval already included. So I'm just going to stamp my sentiment, which was just a simple "for you." And I might go, that's where I might use the Flirty Flamingo, make it stand out. I should have said using Very Vanilla here, as I feel it goes really well with the pearlescent card. And I'm just going to quickly just cut a piece, and I'll explain why in a moment. So I'm just going to add the "for you" and add that little scalloped shell on each side, and I'm just going to feed that through. So this is back to the, we don't want to waste our card. Just line that up. There's my "for you," and then I can just use a scrap of Blushing Bride for the top and do the same as well. So that's ready to go in a moment. So let's get on with our layers now. So the card itself then, as I said, it starts off just as a very simple gatefold. So you're going to need a piece of card that is 14 by 20 centimetres. We just want it slightly, yeah, I've already cut that, that's good. And I'm just going to score that at 5 and at 15 centimetres. And I kind of, when I do that, I do sort of try, if I can, and make it just a tiniest smidgen outside those, so that I get a nice clean fold down the middle. So you can see there, those don't quite meet. It's not me being inaccurate, it's actually being quite deliberately. I literally go just under 5 centimetres and just a squidge over 15, and that just gives us a little bit of extra space for our layers. Now you're then going to need 3 pieces of card. I've got some So Saffron here, and these are all 10 centimetres wide, and then you've got 2 that are 4.5 and 1 that's 5 centimetres, and those are going to layer onto the front of our card. So you're only going to put glue on half of the card because obviously it's going to attach to the layer there, and it doesn't create a border. So this is designed to be flush to our card. So I'll make sure I have in fact done them. Yeah, that's fine. So in this instance, I've put my top one on, then I'm going to put my middle one on the opposite side. If you see, just on the left hand side here. I'm using my Tombow because that gives me my wiggle room. To really sort of butt that up against the other piece of card. And then my bottom one, again, put on the right hand side. Like so. So now you've got those three pieces. We've got our interlocking gatefold. Okay, so now we want to cut our DSP, embossed panel. So our embossed panel there, that we cut already, we're going to, and you do need to do this in order. So when you come to do these, you cut into 3 at 4.2. So that's our top section. So at 4.7, and then that leaves you a 4.2 at the bottom there. Okay, so those are our 3 pieces. We're then going to want some DSP, and I've just taken a strip of the DSP that comes in this. And the DSP is 4.5 wide, which I've already cut it to. And then you want 2 pieces which are 4.5 and one 2 pieces 4.5 by 4 and 1 piece that's by 4.5. So I'm going to do the top one, the first one is 4, then 4.5, and then 4 again. Now it doesn't matter because they don't line up, but it just, I just wanted it to kind of have that continuation of card. So does that make sense? Probably not. Okay, so basically these pieces are going to go onto the inside, onto this panel here. So this slightly wobbly piece that I've obviously bent at some point in the preparation goes on the left hand side here. In fact, I've cut that a little bit. I perhaps haven't been, I will check the measurements on those. Okay, I've possibly been a little bit, I'll double check. I think I've possibly not added a couple of millimetres on there, but it doesn't matter because you still get that. Oh no, I did do it deliberately. No, I did do it deliberately. Yes, I wanted a narrow border on the sides and a slightly bigger border on the top because of the panels. I knew there was method in my madness. There we go. So yes, no, it's fine. So it just fits on the inside there. So we get those pieces. So it just adds a bit of interest underneath the panels. Now we can add on our embossed panels. So again, I'm using, because it's embossed, I'm using a liquid glue. It just helps us kind of also get a bit of cushioning and it gets into those pieces. And those are just going to sit with a narrow border around. Just make sure you get them in the right order. Go. Like so. So you have got just sort of slightly narrow gaps. I tried it with them sort of butted up to each other, and I just rather liked that sort of slight gap that you get. Just helped create the definition. So shows us in the detail of the card really, and how it is a sort of a interlocking gatefold. So there we go. So there's our card, which is pretty enough as it is, but let's add on our sentiments and you'll see how it comes to life. So now what I'm going to do is just cut apart this die cut. So it doesn't take very much, and you can leave some of the seaweed on if you want to, or you can trim it out completely. I'm not going to use my big Nautilus image, and that's because it's sort of bigger and wider than one of the panels. So That's why. And there we go. Just as I say, if you don't want to do as much trimming, it's not a lot of fussy cutting on this. I don't do massive amounts of fussy cutting. You may have noticed. If there's a die, I'm afraid especially now the mini cut and emboss, it makes it so easy, even with the small intricate kind of dies, to just create that. Pop that a bit out of the way. There we go. So this last little shell, which is probably the one I was least accurate with on my embossing, so I'm actually just going to sort of cut away a little bit of that. So here we've got some pretty shell images. Now again, you could always add some of that if you wanted to colour it as well. I'm going to pop my layered ovals. Really useful. I'm so glad that we've got an oval sentiment punch come back. It's we've been missing them a little while now, but really nice with that all in one. The only downside is you need to cut them into strips, to my mind, to make sure it works. So next thing is to shape some of these. So I'm just going to put a little bit of curve in there, and then add, I've just picked up the wrong ones, picked up mini dimensionals. Add your dimensionals to the back there. And what you want to do is make sure when you put it onto the front of your card that it doesn't foul. So you want to make sure it's on that embossed panel. Okay. Again, just shaping these shells onto the top there. Obviously the mini dimensional works really well for this little teeny tiny shell. And while I've got them out, let's shape this shell as well. And add some dimensionals onto the back of our sentiment. Okay. So I then just wanted to add our shells at the top here. And that was where I popped in stuff, almost like a pearl, but an opal round. If only we could find opals. Okay, this is me fumbling about with this. This is why you need to take your pick. My take your pick is not in my hand to hand at the moment. Okay. Right. I think I've got a touch, well I know I have, I've got a touch of glue on my hand and my finger, and so every time I'm moving the pearl it's sticking to my finger. Right. Get a grip, girl. Okay, and then pop out. So instead of using, as I say, the other punch, this is one of the new ones, which I think with that scalloped edge is rather pretty for it to go with the shells. And there we have it. All we need to do now is decorate our inside. So I have got a layer. I had a layer to go on the inside. So I'll pop the measurements on there. Do you know what? I think I've used that to punch out. Never mind. Okay. So to add those layers to the inside, all I need is a piece that's 9.6 by 13.6, 9.3 by 13.3, and that just gives enough border to allow that card to close. But there we have a pretty pair of cards ready for for gifting and for you. Which do you prefer? Do you like scallops or do you like our Label Me Fancy? Let me know. Thanks for watching. If you pop to the description bar below, you'll find all the links for the products that you might wish to purchase, or pop along to my blog and I'll put all the measurements in both centimetres and inches on there for you. Thanks for watching. Come back and see me soon. Bye for now.